Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast in association with Lucky Star Gin. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and with me on today's panel, we have Claire and Dan. We are going to talk about the continuing post-Christmas unbeaten run, okay? Unbeaten in 2025. You can laugh, you can mock. It's true. But it was a draw against Wealdstone. And we're going to look forward to the trip to York. Don't forget the engagement, like, shares, retweets, thumbs up, all the other jazz. It's just boosts the ego. We know what it does, really. So keep it going. Thank you very much. I spoke to you both yesterday, but as the saying goes, for the benefit of the tape, how are you? So Claire, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Nearly at the end of my cold. So yeah, not too bad. Thank you.
Good. And Dan, how are you?
Not bad. Busy at work. Just had a nice dinner and thinking about needing to pack for going to York tomorrow. So,
Nice.
so no work in the morning.
No.
So life's good.
Go off.
Well, as Claire mentioned, the cold, flu, yuckies everywhere. So Sally has asked me to mention, if you hear her coughing in the background, she is fine, she is safe, she is alive. We don't have to question her health like the time we did that with Steve Morrison's interview. Doors are closed and everything is all right. So we briefly discussed beforehand the knowing me, knowing you question. And you've both really enjoyed this because you've supported the team for a few years. There may be different reasons for enjoying this question. Let's start with Dan to give Claire a little bit more thinking time. If you could spend the day with one of Sutton's past or present players, who would it be and what would you do together?
Oh God. That's just the thing. When you've been watching us as long as I have, there's so bloody many that you could, I suppose I'd have to go with, Lenny Dennis, just because I know him. He's a lovely man. He's top bloke. It's really annoying, not only is he a good footballer, but he's a lovely chap, and doesn't look like he's aged a day still, which is a fact of great consternation to myself as I slowly fall apart in my advancing years. So yeah, Lenny,
and lots of paracetamol.
Probably, yeah. We probably
headphones.
and yeah, just got a few beers, and then because he was on one of them rubbishy TV shows. Was it
Cooking
one
show.
of the date ones where
Cooking
you had to cook?
ones.
It was one of the cooking ones.
Yeah,
he was
red
on.
peppers,
So
green tomatoes or something, wasn't it?
I forget what
No,
it was.
it's a date thing, isn't it?
Oh, was it a date
Yeah.
one? Oh,
It was a dating
Yeah.
one. So I know he's been on that. So I know he can cook. So yeah, maybe get him to knock me up some Jamaican food, some jerk chicken or something, and we can just after and then go down the pub afterwards and have a few pints of Guinness and just talk shit.
off our faces. Okay, that sounds like when he comes to Sutton United, to be fair. So, apart from the jerk chicken, but we can get that. With trepidation,
Well, first off, I want to know.
Claire.
Yes. I'm keeping it clean. I'm keeping it
Okay,
clean.
all right.
Show. Dan, though, first, before I say who I was going to say, I just want to know if he can get it in one, who I would have said.
Paul Honey.
There we go. Yeah, absolutely. For
Covered
reasons
in
I
honey.
will not discuss
Okay.
on a podcast. But if we're just keeping it like Dan, there are so many people over the course of the years that you've enjoyed watching play football, or you've just enjoyed hanging out with. So putting my love for UGG to one side and upsetting 16-year-old Claire, I think I'll probably just spend the day hanging out with Bradley Wood's Gunners, because I love Bradders, and and we just hang out, have a laugh, few drinks. Yeah,
Perfect.
good bloke.
Well, I was a little bit worried, not for the reason you thought I was worried. I thought one of you was going to say something about the current squad and teach them, take them dog walking lessons so they could learn how to hold on to a lead. Anyway,
Oh, that's unnecessary.
it was unnecessary.
I mean, just the dad joke alone, for God's sake.
Yeah, it's really quite. But I'm just going to say something that we've been
Yeah.
saying a lot recently. You're better than that.
Am I?
You are better.
Am
than
I?
that.
I think he is.
When?
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah.
think he is.
When,
I think he
when
is.
was
You're
that?
better than that. You are better than that.
Okay. So if you could spend a day with any Sutton United players, who would it be and what would you do together? Some club news. I believe Finley is now here for the season. I think it was quietly said we've passed the cut-off point for them to call him back. I think.
I think it was 14th. I think I
my
remember
luck,
someone
it's going to be
saying.
the 17th, and they're going to call him back tomorrow morning. But
Yeah, I think they
we've recorded
had
it
up
by-
to the 14th to recall him, from what
Okay.
I was told. So hopefully,
Excellent. Yeah. There's also probably neither of you going to be there, but there's a beer festival going on at Sutton United on the 31st of Jan and the 1st of February. So you'll probably be in Kidderminster at that point. But there is a beer festival going on if anyone's not going there. But to the match, Claire, what were you hoping for the game and your thoughts at the lineup?
I was hoping for more than that, I think is possibly the polite way of putting it. I didn't have any preconceived ideas about the lineup, if I'm being entirely honest. I've been far too ill over the last few days to really give it any serious consideration or any thought. But also I hear whispers of things, so like it's never really massively a surprise. But I know, show off, right? Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I just kind of was hoping for a little bit more of a showing than that. I thought we'd do ourselves a little bit more proud, harshly.
Okay. It's my turn now. I think that's based on the result, not necessarily too much of the
No, but like that's yes, okay, fine.
That's the headline.
That's a fair challenge.
Yeah.
I was expecting to win. There we go.
Yeah.
If that's what you were looking for. God, it's hard work here, isn't it?
It is. We're only going 5 minutes. Dan.
I know, and I was doing so well at being well behaved and keeping it clean, but you know, you're being a fucker, so stop it.
Dan, what about yourself? What were you hoping, expecting?
I mean, yeah, Wealdstone haven't had a great season so far. I don't think they look terrible in either game, but you would hope that if someone beneath you in the table, you'd be seeing them off at home. I thought the lineup was broadly what I expected. Thought we might have thrown Woodyard in to start with, but again, I don't know how much football he's played lately, so I wasn't particularly surprised by the team at all. But yeah, just I was, and I did. Funny enough, I did notice before the game that they'd only won one away, but had drawn a load. So I was like, and I did say. On Tuesday night games, I come straight from work and I get off the train in Sutton. The last couple of times, me and Steve have actually been going to Finnegan's for fish and chips for dinner, and just talk crap over grub. And as we left the chippy on the high street, it was like that will probably be the highlight of the night.
Well, I mean, that's harsh.
If you did
you
that
saw
on
me after that.
Yeah,
that is true.
If you did that on Tuesday night, then that probably was the highlight of Tuesday night.
Oh, it's Wednesday.
Yeah,
sorry.
It was Wednesday. Yeah. See.
Yeah.
Oh,
fuck off, DAZN. You're confusing me. Stupid telly streaming people.
I know. I mean, I think they said it's DAZN.
It is DAZN, but I don't know how you get DAZN from
that.
Yeah,
and I was like, I don't think it is. There's two more vowels to go in there if you want it to be DAZN.
I'm going to use, it's 4 letters that don't make a normal word, so I'm going to say the letters, DAZN.
Right, early pressure. Dan, stick with you. There was a bit of early pressure.
Mm.
I've written down lots of delicate moves. I might have meant intricate moves, but we can go with delicate. I don't care. And Dylan had a great chance. We were standing right close to each other. I did feel that it was one of those where he kind of got it, had time to think, and then couldn't decide what actually to do. But what was your view on the early pressure, the nice moves, and Dylan's chance?
I mean, yeah, we first 10 or so, we were quite bright. We made a good start. We got the ball wide. We tried to get it wide and get round them. But yeah, like pretty much a couple of, I don't remember how far it is, but it felt like only a couple of minutes in. Just popped it through. Dylan's in 1-on-1, and it just was one of those chances. It just felt like if he just makes a decision and tries to pick a corner, fair enough. If the keeper then spreads himself and makes the save, fair enough. But he's basically just thumped it straight at him. And it was a shot, a rising shot as well. And the guy had stood up. The keeper decided, I'm going to stay up as long as I can here. So yeah, if he'd have tried to sweep it round him, he probably would have scored, because I doubt the keeper would have got down to it. But yeah, it just seemed to set the tone. I think we had a couple of little sniffs after that didn't quite come off, and then the game sort of seemed to just drift out of the game a little bit after that for a while, I thought.
What about yourself, Claire? Do you
well, I missed. No, I mean, I missed that bit because I was off doing something else. But yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the game, for me, it feels like there are chances that we just don't take, and we're not bold enough. And like Dan said, if you just aim for a corner or something, you've just got to back yourself in those moments. And trying not to skip ahead, but like ultimately it's those chances that are really kind of easy, and then the goals that we went on to score were kind of difficult and scrappy, and like they were the harder ones of every opportunity that we had. And given the opportunities that we had earlier on, we really should have made more of what we had up there, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing, but I did kind of feel like Dan. I think he was possibly waiting for the keeper to commit. Couldn't decide, and then just thought, "Oh, I'm going to hit it." And
yeah, I get that, but I mean, anytime you ever hear an attacking player talk about it, certainly a striker, which I know Dylan isn't, but whenever you hear these forwards talk about it, it's just make your mind up, because the moment you start thinking about it, the tackle comes in, you've gone too far, you've narrowed your own angle, that kind of stuff, so it's just go with your instincts and hit it.
And that's why I'm wondering, is it he's not a forward, he's more aligned to across the ball in. So but you know what, it was a good chance. We made chances. I think Steve said in his post-match, it's when you're not making chances that you worry.
True.
We conceded, which I didn't really get a good view of. But at that time, you're like, oh, here we go. I could hear all the noises around me, all the same old again. And as Claire has already alluded to, we stopped trying the intricate football, gave it to Lewis, and he just thumped it and scored a goal from outside the box. How were you feeling at that point, Claire? 1-1.
Do you know what I really enjoyed about that? And it was an off the pitch moment. Is just before that happened, you and somebody else walked behind me, and on your way to the bar, I think it was you with them, and I heard them exclaim, "Well, I'm not going to walk slowly. I'm not going to miss anything, am I?" And I really enjoyed that when the goal went in, because I was like, "There you go. That's when things happen. When you give up belief and you stop thinking that magic can happen." So in that moment, I was very happy about the goal, but I was also laughing about that, because I was like, "That's what you get."
Fair enough.
I'm naming no names, but I'm sure they'll bring it up with me next time they see me. Now that I've said this.
I don't actually remember, to be fair. Dan, what do you think? The 1-1 just before half time as well.
Yeah, it was. I mean, timing was perfect, wasn't it? I mean, we hadn't really done anything after they'd scored. We huffed and puffed a lot, moved the ball. The passing suddenly went really ragged. Was hitting it too long, too short, nowhere near the man. We just didn't seem to be having much of an impact. And then I think, I can't even remember much of the build-up. It just seemed to run across. I think Coley was involved. It ran across, and Simps was just in loads of room, loads of space. No one, and he actually had a bit of a decent sight of goal. There was no defenders in front of him, so he could get his head over it, and it was a nice hit. Actually, it was kept it low, across the keeper and right in the corner. At that point, it was probably a little bit against the run of play, I thought, but like Claire says, when you've created 3 or 4 really good chances and not scored, and then it takes a 20-yard pinger to, you've taken by far what isn't even a chance. It's a sort of a hit from range, and it's gone in. So yeah, it was well timed. I think that certainly would have changed. I think that probably would have changed Steve's team talk a little bit. I would have thought, because they were probably going to get lots of naughty words aimed their way. I would have thought, with the way that we'd played 30 minutes or so prior to that. But goals change games, so suddenly we're back on our tails are up again, and right at the right time as well, just right on the break.
Well, they probably did hear some naughty words, because they came out after half time quite fired up as well. And for all the lovely build-up play and everything that we mentioned, there was some really nice play. Essentially, it was a long ball up to Will, and he pressed someone, won it, and smacked it. And it's like, oh, we could do that as well. Lovely. So at 2-1, I mean, Will, that's 10 for the season. I'm fairly confident. I've heard several people say that. 10 for the season.
Tony announced it. Yeah, Tony announced it over the PA after the goal. So
it's 10 for the season, which is pretty good. I mean, I know Omar did a couple of years ago, but we struggled, and I think Steve was a bit harsh, going, we'll have another 10 before the end of the season. But how were you feeling at 2-1? Were you feeling comfortable? I thought at that point we started playing really, really well, and we were in control of the game. And I know I took a little bit of stick for this, but I said I think it's the most comfortable we've been for a while, just knocking the ball around at 2-1. But Dan, what were you feeling at that point?
Yeah. I mean, we had another little 10-minute spell there where created again another 2-3 good chances, and it looked to be only one winner. We should have put the game to bed. It was, that first 15 minutes of the second half, the game should have been out, done and dusted. A third goal would have killed it. That was it. It would. They at 2-1, and when it's always just a goal lead, then the other side are always going to have a bit of belief, and because they know that not only the way football goes, you're going to get a spell in the game where you can get on the ball and maybe try and make things happen, but also with the way we are defensively, I'm sure sides know we're going to give them a chance at some point. Yeah, it's going to come. So you've got a little bit of belief there to keep plugging away. But at 3-1, I think that game's dead and it's done, and that's either how it finishes, or maybe we go and wrap it up and get a fourth. That's what it was. And then again, it just seemed to turn on Dylan missing another one-on-one. Again, same thing. Just didn't make his mind up and just thumped it straight at the keeper. Yeah. And that just seemed to, I don't know whether it gave them a little bit of hang on lads, we might be in luck here if we keep plugging away. But even then, their equaliser came from not really anything. Yeah, just didn't track the runner, cross, and it was a really weak header as well. So, well,
there's another person to blame. I'll mention it in a second. I think you were there, Dan, as they said it. But Claire, what were you feeling at that sort of 2-1, the comfortable period, and how were you?
I think you're right. Like, we came out, and it did feel like a little bit like of a shoulders back, heads up, like here we go. And I did really think that actually we were going to start doing something impressive. And as Dan says, like I think like one more goal and it absolutely would have put it to bed. And you kind of had that moment of like, oh, okay, we're going to do it this time. Like this is actually like it's coming. And the equaliser was, I think the word is just disappointing, because you
Better
kind of
than
get to this. Oh, we are better than that.
Better than that,
You
yeah.
are better than that. YBTT. Yes. But we yeah, I just kind of expected it to kind of gain some momentum then and keep going. And I think there's probably like there's some kind of psych behind it, isn't there, in a sense of like you come out fighting and your head's held high, and then that the kind of the equalizer, your shoulders dip a little bit and you watch it and it's almost kind of actually like a physical thing. You kind of see it and you think they always need someone to just turn around and go to them in the middle of the field like, this is okay, we still got this, we can still do this,
Yeah.
and carry on. And I think there was a lot more. I think Woody's very vocal. You definitely heard that yesterday. And I think that kind of experience is something that we definitely have been lacking and that we need. And I hope that kind of positive influence from him starts to have a bit of an impact, and they start to, they're young. And I know I've said this before on this series of the podcast, but like they're young and they're learning, and it's only going to take time for them to really gel and realize what their potential is and what they can actually do if they work collaboratively together to make these things work. And I do like, you see so much negativity off the back of a draw. Oh, it's 2 points dropped, here we go again. That's so typical of us. And I still really, really am struggling to feel disheartened or generally like upset by anything that I'm watching. Like on occasion, don't get me wrong, I'm disappointed because I genuinely know that they have got more to give and that we could do better. But I do still really believe it's coming, and like when it clicks, it's gonna be great. Like they're young and they're hungry, and it's coming, I swear.
Yeah. Well, it's what I've been saying for ages. But it is unbeaten. So let's remember that. I think someone worked out somewhere that it's potentially 15 points that we've given away from winning positions. But
Dan will tell you that I am the biggest pessimist going with everything in life. Like I am the friend that's always like, oh, this is bad. This is really, really bad. But genuinely this season, I don't feel like that about football, and it's very out of character for me. So people should take comfort from that.
There was one. Well, I thought Dylan coming off straight away after that chance was a little bit harsh. It may well have been planned. And I know they're professional.
I don't know if it was harsh because it wasn't just that one. There was two.
No.
There was two in quick succession, wasn't there?
No.
So ultimately, if he'd smashed in the first one and those two, he could have had 3 goals last night.
Yeah, but straight away. I mean, Dan, you've played. If you miss a chance and you're called off straight away, you've got to leave it a minute or two, please. What do you reckon? I mean, I don't know. I'm probably been really soft and generous.
Well, I generally played as a forward or a winger when I played Sunday mornings, and I was shit. So it definitely happened a couple of times. I can tell you that for a fact. I know. I mean, it was dead on 60 minutes when they made the change. So I think it was probably because Dylan's still not played masses of football after his early season injury. So I think they're gradually bringing him back more and more in. 60, build him up a few 60s, a couple of 70s, and then they can see how he gets on. So just so he's got more in the tank and they're not burning him up. But I mean, it doesn't look great, but
I still kind of like, they've missed a chance. I'll give them another minute or so. I won't do it.
But funnily enough, I did say this at the time. I was like, you've got Moro on the bench, who's a forward. And a pretty decent one when he was playing. I can imagine him sitting there going, "No, fuck off! No, I'm not having that." So he must be fuming when we are getting chances, and they're not put away, and he's probably stood there on the touchline going, "I'd have taken that.
I'd have taken that." The weekend.
Exactly.
I scored 2 at the weekend. What's wrong with you?
He's stood there going, "I'd have tucked that away." So it must be frustrating for him as a former forward.
I did also find it. This isn't who I'm blaming, by the way. I did find it funny that Woody was brought on to steady the ship, and then 8 minutes later we conceded that weird goal. But the blame lies entirely with Jenny, because she said, and Dan was there to hear it, this is going to be the first double of the season, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we all went,
Oh, who says things
what?
like that?
I know.
As I recall, I actually shushed her
Yeah.
at that point. It's like, shh now. Let's.
But
Have you been watching the last couple of months? Let's just relax for a second.
But we still had chances to win. There was lots of good running. I mean, Nadders, I don't know what the hell the man drinks and eats, but he was running and running and running and running and running. But we just couldn't get there. There was a few other sort of half chances, but we ended up with a draw, still unbeaten. We're 13th. If everyone being pessimistic, if everyone wins their games in hand below us, we're down to 16th. Being optimistic, if we win our game in hand on people above us, we could be up to 11th. Dan, I know you've said we're 13th. You reckon we're going to finish 13th in various places. Do you agree, Claire? You agree sort of mid table is where we are?
Top half, yeah, I think is where we're going to be. And I'm quite comfortable with that. Like, I know that there are a lot of people that aren't. And I think there's a lot of people that seem to be very much geared on, we were going straight back up. And I kind of understand why that is the thought. But I just... a little bit of time to lick our wounds, rebuild, rebrand, and I think this year mid top is. I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said from the start I wanted a nice little run at the playoffs, and we still got a chance for that. I think someone said we're only 4 points outside it, but a nice little run at the playoffs. But whether we get into it or not, I'm not that fussed.
Yeah, I mean, it's can they make the playoffs? Sure. It's football. Yeah. Anything can change. You know, you can have a little run and suddenly you're right back in the mix again. But I mean, the way to look at it is, funny enough, I was talking about this to someone else. Over about the last 10 years, I think to get 7th, you need 71 points.
Right.
And at the moment, we're on for about 63, I think.
Right.
So,
but it could all change.
9 points. That's 3 wins. We could already have had that with the points we dropped, but
last few games,
it's not insurmountable. But for me, over the season so far and what I've seen so far, I don't think they've quite got the consistency.
Yeah. There was 2 other things that Steve said. Woodyard got into them in the dressing room, which is something that we've missed apparently. So.
Which we do need that. We need an old head. He's been around, been there, seen it, done it. He's won this division. Mm-hmm. He's a lower level pro. He's been around. He's worked with like the Cowleys, who that's the kind of thing they demand. That's the kind of characters they hire. So yeah, I want to see more of that. I think we need a couple more like him. Still.
Yep. Just as Claire said earlier, not necessarily getting into, but on the pitch, going, it's fine. Come on, let's get back in.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it came out wrong, but Steve's comments on Jack Taylor, he said he's got to be better. Did you? I mean, I thought he did all right. To be fair, first game back. But what were your thoughts? I mean, what he said is young players tend to get an easy ride, but he wants people coming to watch Jack to take the game by the scruff of the neck. Am I being soft again, Claire?
Possibly, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think he meant it in a bad way. I think it's fair, like, to say to someone like you can be better than that, like, and you can do more than that. See, you're better than that. Keeps coming back. It's like
I think we might name this one. You're better.
That's the title. Yeah. It's fair to accept that you want someone to achieve their potential and that you think that they're capable of more. Maybe it didn't come out quite in the tone that you would have been expecting, but that's life.
Yeah, no, he's got a point, because I've said before, I can't remember who I was talking to. I was like, why is it our own grown players who come through, we sort of forgive them for almost anything? So if the young players come through, we're like, oh, it's all right, it's fine. And other young players we get on loan, we're like, oh my god, that's terrible, that's awful. Why are we doing that? But Dan, what did you think? Did you?
To be honest, I broadly agree with him. Whilst Jack didn't have a terrible game, not saying he was shit, he didn't. I think he did the basics right. You know, I can't recall anything he did horribly wrong. He. And I think this is again just that he's come as a youngster. He's had his grounding in National League South. There is a step up. There's a step up, and I think it's just him finding his feet. It was his first game back. He's been thrown in from the start. He's been given, the responsibility of starting the game and doing 90 minutes. And he's been getting rave reviews at Hampton. Been doing really well down there. So I'm guessing from Steve, he maybe just thought, well, look, I expected a little bit more. I thought his distribution wasn't very good at all. Certainly first half, it was a lot more noticeable. First half hour or so, it wasn't great at all. But I thought he settled in okay. But I think broadly, yeah, I'd go. I don't think Steve was digging him out. I think it was just like, look, you've been given the chance. I expected maybe to grab it a bit more and be a bit more settled. But like I say, he's not 19 still, 19, 20. So first game in, I'm not going to tear the lad up. He's homegrown product, so you've got to back him, and hopefully he'll settle in and be better.
Yeah,
I think he's also.
He was asked the question about Jack. Not.
Yeah, and also you have to kind of go right, like from an interview perspective, like people are always critical if he doesn't name names and say things, and then when he does name names, people are like, "Oh, should he have said that?" And not to spring to Steve's defense because he can look after himself, but like, cut the man some slack. I mean,
yeah, no, I think what we've taken out.
You can't have it. You can't have it both ways. Yeah, last year in his interviews, he stuck up for the squad that he had. They're all good players. These are good players, and we've been watching what we've been watching for 6 months, and we're going. So he does stick up for his players, and generally managers have to do that anyway. But yeah, if he's been asked the question, he's given and he has given an honest, straight answer, which I don't think
we don't get that very often.
Particularly out of order.
Yeah, I think we've just established that I'm really, really soft.
Yeah, what happened to you?
Not cut out to be a manager.
Toughen up.
I can't. Sorry, so there was a couple of people that responded. Ray said, because I think this was in direct thing of me going, I thought we were quite comfortable at 2-1. Ray said, I'm never comfortable. It's a fragile mentality, and he never feels comfortable. And Alan kind of agreed. And I think this is where we were saying, Claire, earlier, that once it gets into that head of, we'll last whatever minutes and start dropping back, which we all see that, why are we dropping back? Don't do it. Andrew had said about chances not being taken, but he then said, what we're hoping now is that we sort it and then we smash it for next season, which is kind of what you guys were saying. Very importantly, Enzio signed my shirt. I did feel a bit of a dick, especially when he had that chance towards the end. I thought, if he scores and we lose 3-2, there's no way I can ask him to sign the shirt. But
yeah, I don't think I'd have bounded up to Eastie in quite such a happy manner if he'd been warming up.
Yeah.
I couldn't have dealt with that, but the fact that he was, classically suspended,
absolutely. I think he
was fine for me, but I couldn't have dealt with watching him play against us. It just,
He did question, because he was on the pitch and I sort of said hi, and he sort of looked at the media pass and he said, how'd you get one of them? I went, I've gone my way and blagged it, mate. It was like,
it's
kind of a big deal around here now.
Yeah.
And probably the most important thing, I was 1 out of the 50-50. So the number appeared, and I looked at my ticket, and I had blah, 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 6-8, and the number was 6-9. I was like, I've got another ticket. So I looked, going, whoa, here we go. It was 6-7. So gutted. And then Alison reminded me, that's happened to me before. So why do I?
How much did you miss out on?
Well, technically, I didn't miss out on anything because I never expect to win. I just give £2, but the prize was £127. But yeah, in my
Getting
head,
a kick in the teeth.
Sucks to be you.
yeah, it does. Right, very quickly. This is a two-pronged thing. So some news in football. I meant to talk about this last week, but York spent apparently £360,000 on a striker. They had some pretty good strikers. So how do we compete with that? Dan?
Well, I suppose there's two ways you can answer that question. If you're talking financially, you just don't, because you can't. I mean, I don't think we've ever spent a total of 360 grand on transfers our entire fucking history. So yeah, monetary wise, no, you can't. You've just gotta be smart about it. You've got to be cute about it. You've got to find those gems, and either, you know, people like your Adger boys, get them from those guys who've missed out and have dropped down and are going again. They're the ones you want to find. Or a lot of these clubs, the bigger clubs now, have so many players in their systems that they're not going to get games. So that's your in as well. Finding someone who's like a Barbrook, who's you know, when he really came through at Ipswich, they were a League One club, but now they're a Premier League club. Yeah. He's not, with all you know, due respect to Finley, he's not looked Premier League quality yet. So chances are he's got to basically aim for where he came in. Mm-hmm. So looking at sort of League Two, League One as just being a good solid pro. So yeah, they're the players you need to find. You've just got to use your contacts, which I'm sure with Stephen is. I mean, it's only 3 or 4 years since he retired, so he's going to have bags of contacts out there. You just got to find them that way, and hope that you get them in and they have a big enough impact if they're loaners, or, you know, if you can pick them up and sign them permanently, that they're the right fit.
But that's where we would lose out, because if a team in our own division, and we're not talking the Wrexhams or anyone like that, but a team in our own division go, yeah, we'll have 350,000 on that player. So if they turn around and go, actually, I fancy that Will Davies, are we in a position to go, oh no, thank you? I'm not asking you that question, Claire. I don't want the finance.
No, but I think it's a fair comment, isn't it? And I think it's something that we've talked about before, Mike, about like the money in our league and where we sit, and how you tailor your expectations based on what other people are spending and what we're spending. And actually, like, we're sitting here and, you know, Dan and I have both said we're quite happy kind of mid-table, top half, whatever. But if you looked at us in the budget side of stuff, that's probably not where we sit. And so we're exceeding our expectations in that sense. So when people are sitting there thinking, oh, we should be a League Two team and we have every right to be a League Two team, if you look at it on paper from a financial perspective, do we? Like, it's interesting, and you've got to compete with the people like that. And as you say, that's not even like your Wrexhams who've got stupid money because they've got an idiot. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is.
Yeah, but we'd have to. I mean, it's a lot of pints we need to be selling to be able to afford that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you mentioned Wrexham. The other bit of weird news is that apparently they're going to have the English teams going into the Welsh Cup. I've asked the Newport guys about this, and they went, there's been no details. It's been drip fed out. But the idea is that they're inviting the teams in the English League to go into the Welsh Cup with potential room for Europe places. There was some I can't remember who it was. Someone said, "Oh, well, there's 18 good teams in Yorkshire. Why don't we just have a Yorkshire Cup and give us a place in Europe? We'll have a London Cup and a place in Europe and everything." What do you think of the teams in the English League playing in the Welsh Cup? Go on, Claire.
Was this the same idea as? Did this come from the same brainchild who came up with no repays in the FA Cup? Like, I don't know. I just think it's stupid that we keep coming up with these stupid suggestions. And you're
Yeah.
right. If we're having a Yorkshire Cup, let's just bring back the Surrey Senior as a serious contender and make Dukey happy. That's all we need to do, really.
Yeah.
I think it's a
Yeah.
stupid idea, but
Yep. Fair enough.
yeah.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean the with the Welsh stuff, they're just trying to improve the standard of their own sort of their own league. I think I've read also they're trying to do a deal to persuade Merthyr to ditch the English system and go back to the Welsh one. So, but I mean, the thing is, the teams they're talking about inviting in are massively would have a massive advantage over the Welsh sides that are currently there. So, it's going to be Wrexham, Cardiff, Swansea, or Newport that are going to win that competition pretty much every year if they want to. And all the previous rounds, all these other Welsh league sides will just be playing their kids.
Yeah.
Wrexham's under 23s or Cardiff's under 23s and things like that. And then they only take it seriously when they get to the semis or the final. So I don't know. I don't know how much the Welsh sides would be up for it. But then again, as we've seen, you bung a few quid.
Yeah.
You bung the teams in the competition a few quid, and no one gives a toss these days. You just got to look at the crap we've got to play in the National League with this Poxy Cup.
Exactly.
And
this is what we covered. I sort of quickly spoke to Ed about it, and he said basically that he says, as far as our stance is, it's been drip fed. No one knows any information. And I was like, oh, that's exactly like the National League trophy where we're told 2 weeks in advance, this is the format. And he said, as far as we're concerned, we'd only take it anyway seriously if the Welsh League clubs fans are going, yes, this is what we want. He said, but basically no one ever listens to the fans, so it's very, very unlikely that we'll find out that's what they want. But for yesterday, right, finish off. What? Oh, do you know what? I forgot to play the Knowing Me, Knowing You jingle. I'm gutted now. But anyway, I've got this one. It's the good, the bad, and funny. I think I had such trepidation of Claire's answer that's why I didn't play the earlier one. That's my excuse. Like,
I was really well behaved. I don't know what your problem was. I kept it so PC.
Yeah, you very well done.
Which is so not like me.
So Claire, what was good about yesterday? That again, it's the match day experience. I think we might have to start it after Dan's food, but what was good about the match day experience?
If Dan was going to use his food, I'd say my food was pretty good. What was good yesterday? I mean that the first goal just before the equaliser, just before half time. I'm going for that as my good. I know you say match wide, but that was my good. I like that.
Yeah. Dan, what was your good about the day?
Chippy T.
Chippy T. I knew that was coming.
Fair enough. Okay.
with an honourable mention to our two goals because they were both very good hits, both solid, good, really good. It was nice to see us shooting from range and actually finding the target which was nice. We didn't see enough of that last season or earlier this year. So, but yeah. But they're honourable mentions. Chippy T. Sorry.
What was bad?
Oh, that fucking equaliser! Jesus Christ. I've not watched the highlights again because it just looked dreadful at the time.
I haven't yet either, but someone said I've watched the highlight several times and I still can't work out actually what happened. It's like a ghost hit the ball. It's like I can't actually work out what happened.
It was their equaliser was just
Claire.
That was it.
I mean, I was going to say exactly the same thing. To be honest, it was just it's disappointing, I guess, is the moment that I had there.
Fair enough. And what was funny for you about the day, Claire?
Oh, there was a wonderful part towards the end of the second half where someone from their bench shouted at one of their players, and I genuinely don't know who it was or who it was aimed at, but he shouted, "That's so disappointing." And myself and a load of people behind me in the stand all just went, and it was just so funny. Because, yeah, I mean, what a thing to shout at one of your players. It was very like,
I'm not
Mummy
angry.
said, "I'm disappointed in you." It was very amusing.
I'm not angry, just disappointed.
Exactly, and it was just the comedy ooh that really really got it for me.
Dan, what about you?
Trying to think actually.
You got Dukey in a suit for a start.
That's not funny. I mean, it's just unsettling.
Upsetting.
Actually, first half, Frakey was commenting on the referee's performance,
Mhm.
and one of his mates behind him said, "Cool, you're in a bad mood tonight." And about 10 of us in front all turned around and went, "Tonight?"
He was quality before the game, though. Did you see when on Twitter somebody announced the club announced that James Bailey
Oh, I
was
did see
sponsoring
that.
the game,
Yeah.
and Frakey just replied, "He hasn't got a car parking space."
I forgot
Crikey,
that.
mate, have a day off. Yeah.
So yeah,
He's not on the list.
that
He ain't coming in.
was probably because we were just being crap at that point, and it was that crap spell in the first half. So yeah, that just brightened the moment up, I thought.
Yeah, there were two people somewhere behind. I don't know who it was discussing the Wealdstone number 7 being a good player, and he's a good one. That one. It's like, you mean Enzio, who was our player for a long time. I mean,
like 3 years.
Okay, yeah, all right. So look,
Wake
that's
up.
that's what I found quite funny. Right, so we're off to York.
Dan's off to York.
Dan's off to York.
In the morning.
In the morning. No work. Claire, what do you think is going to happen at York? I mean, I'll tell you my opinion in a minute. Go on. What do you reckon?
I'm going to continue my optimistic streak, and whilst I'm not going to predict a win, I do think there'll be a fair few goals, and I'm going for another Desmond, so I'm going for a 2-2.
Fair enough. That's what we had against them last time as well, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Dan.
I'm not going thinking we can win it, but I don't think some people were when we were coming out last night. Some people were grumbling about, "Oh, we're going to get our asses handed to us on Saturday," and I was like, "No, I don't see that," because we went to Barnet and I thought we acquitted ourselves more than adequately. You know, we played some decent stuff, played pretty much perfectly as an away side, just unfortunately with a couple of goals conceded. And I thought the game at ours against them was probably one of the best I've seen this year. Plenty going on. I think York are one of those sides who, a bit like Barnet, don't really cater too much to how the Oppo play. They play their way. They're going to go out and do what they do, and it's on you to deal with them. So I don't think they're going to be. I think it's going to be quite open. I think both sides are going to be. We'll have space to play a bit. So it'll certainly be a decent contest. I think it will come down to who takes chances. I don't see why we can't get a point up there. Seen stranger things. We probably should have won at Barnet. So it's football. You can always get a result. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be as one-sided as some people were thinking on last night. I think it'll be just a good game. I think it'll be open. They'll play some good stuff, and we'll be allowed to. So yeah, probably I'll take a draw.
Okay.
I'll settle for a draw. Try and be positive, and we'll take a point away from home and just keep ticking over.
Try and be positive. Right. I'm going that we're going to stick with our historical thing of going completely against it. So, all those times when we're playing teams at the bottom of the league and we're flying and da-da-da. I'm just talking Torquay a few years ago where they were absolutely toilet and they came to us and beat us. I'm going to go with the other way. They're doing really well. We're stuttering. We're not doing badly, but we're stuttering. I'm going with a 5-2 win. We're going to take the chances. We're going to score goals. Yes, that's positive, Dan. Mentally unstable, but positive.
Do you know, if
Are
that
you
happens,
high?
Whew. I mean, it's a game I want to watch. I'm not going to lie to you, but
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
complain if that's what it is, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Didn't say it was gonna be a good
obviously,
game.
but
Let's clarify. I didn't say it's going to be a good game. I said it's going to win 5-2. It could be the
if
shittiest
this
game
is
on
the
earth.
sort of medication you've got as a hand, mate, you need to start sharing this around a bit more on the terraces, mate.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Right. I may regret that, but anyway, I'm going with it. I said it now. That's it. We'll do it. If that happens, I will be like quitting.
I will be checking up. I'll check with the other people who are in your prediction league to make sure that is what you go with in the prediction league.
To be fair, I do. I let everyone change it once the team lineups come out and stuff, but I never do that because I figure that it's too open to me going, oh yeah, that's exactly what I said. Oh, honest. So whatever I say is what I put in, even though I'm never right. But anyway, thank you both very, very much. We are going to wrap up this episode of Sutton Podcast. As always, we appreciate your attention. You can hear Joe from here, can't you? Get involved in the Know Me, Know You segment. If you could spend a day with one of Sutton United's past or present players, who would it be and what would you do together? Yeah, Claire, stop. If you if you've liked this episode, please like, follow, share, give the thumbs up at Sutton Podcast on all social media. Don't forget to subscribe and all the rest of it. We are back after the 5-2 victory at York. We'll have Rory and Alex Trez to talk us through it. You're lucky Alex isn't on, because if it was Alex, he'd be saying it's 5-0. Okay, so
He is very positive.
He
We
is,
like that.
And as always, thank you to sponsors Lucky Star Gin. Thank you again to both of you, and we will see you soon. Thanks for listening, obviously. Take care. Bye-bye.
United! United!